Hello, my name is Michael Leiblein, and this year I am serving as the Division Chair of the Strategic Management Division of the Academy Management. One of my last responsibilities in this role is to conduct the STR business meeting at the annual conference. In this recorded version of the meeting, the STR elected officers and I will share with you many of the activities our team has completed on your behalf over the last year. Our objective in recording this message is to allow a larger portion of our membership to observe our efforts. During the annual meeting in Boston, we will provide an in-person business meeting on Monday, August 7 at 6 p.m. This meeting will be in the Marriott Copley Plaza, Wellesley Room. While we will summarize some of the information presented in this recording during the in-person meeting, our focus during the in-person meeting will be much more focused on sharing some of the outstanding accomplishments and celebrating some of the outstanding work by members of the division. For those new to the Academy, I'll start by sharing the aims and objectives of the division, the STR division. Our overarching objective is to promote scholarship and professional development in the field of strategic management. Our division has many reasons to be proud of our accomplishments. Our research addresses foundational questions of interest to leading general managers, and our teaching is similarly impactful with popular undergraduate MBA and executive MBA classes around the world. This is reflected in the Academy numbers. We are the second largest division of the Academy of Management with over 5,800 members this summer. Our bylaws require that we conduct an annual business meeting concurrently with the AOM annual meeting. There are many reasons for this requirement, not the least of which is to ensure that we clearly communicate the state of the division to you, our members, and in addition, recognize the accomplishments of those serving the division and express our gratitude to those volunteers who worked hard throughout the year to build and maintain a strong, robust strategic management field. This slide depicts the nearly 100 activities or members who comprise our leadership team. Reading from the top to the bottom of the slide, we have 5 elected officers, 24 elected executive committee members, a number of additional committee members, and 4 appointed officers. Reading from the left to the right of the slide, we depict some of the responsibilities of these individuals. For example, on the left side of the slide, you see that our assistant program chair is in charge of the PDW programs, as well as the conference paper award process. The assistant program chair is supported by an executive committee member that helps with the awards process and catering, as well as our second-year research committee members who help with the awards process specifically. Let me now introduce you to this year's team. I hope if you see any of these individuals, you'll take a moment to thank them for their service. Our elected officers are designated to serve 5-year terms. This year, Heather Berry is our past division chair. I serve as the division chair. Louise Moores serves as the division chair-elect. Deepak Samaya is the program chair, and Brian Wu is the assistant program chair. I'll take a breath here just to simply thank each of these individuals for sharing their time and passion for the field during this last year. We've had a lot of hard work, some challenges, but also I think this was a very worthy endeavor. So thank you for your assistance and support this year. This slide is depicting our executive committee. This is a group of elected individuals that support the officers. This executive committee is comprised of 12 elected division members that serve staggered 2-year terms. The 6 people who will be rolling off of our executive committee are depicted on the top half of the slide. Elisa, Vanessa, Danal, Maka, Tamash, and Tony, thank you for everything you've done for the division. Several of you have gone well above and beyond in your service. This is both recognized and deeply appreciated. The 6 EC members who will be continuing for another year are depicted on the bottom half of this slide. Joanna, Aline, Zeke, Manuela, Philip, and Richard have already accomplished a great deal. I thank them for their service and know Louise looks forward to working with each of you as we continue to push our division forward next year. Our appointed officers are depicted on this slide. Andy Wu came on last year as director of our Membership Engagement Committee. Dave Mosluk is our secretary. Paolo Aversa is our communications director. And Paul Drenovich is our longstanding treasurer. It may be interesting to note that we've doubled the number of appointed officers in the division in the recent years. These individuals are central to the institutional memory of the division. Several have served for several cycles and many years. They are often in touch with a broad cross-section of our membership, And in the case of Paolo's communication team, the Academy of Management often refers to his work as setting the benchmark for similar efforts in other divisions. In a few moments, the officers who have been working directly with these individuals will provide a bit more detail on their accomplishments. For now, I'll simply share my gratitude for all that Andy, Dave, Paolo, and Paul have done for the field. With this slide, I'm trying to bring together our division's administrative structure and many of the individuals who've been serving in those roles this year. So if you look at the left side, you see Brian and Aline worked with the second-year members of the research committee on our conference paper award process. Moving a little bit to the right, you see that Deepak worked with Joanna, Donal, and Zeke to develop the main program. Louise worked with Elisa and the teaching committee on our teaching consortium initiatives. And Louise also worked with Manuela and members of our career awards committee for the career awards process. Luis and Manuela also worked with the first-year research committee members for the Best Dissertation Award process. I worked with Philip, Maka, Tomasz, and Richard on our non-conference program. I worked with our global reps for our international efforts and our membership engagement team for our other virtual activities. Again, our communications team supported this entire effort by broadcasting our content. I'll provide a high-level summary of the activities performed by each of these scholars. The other officers will also thank them for their service and provide you with more detail on the specific activities with which they've been working. This slide depicts our second-year research committee members. These are the scholars who read anonymized versions of the papers nominated for the Best Conference Paper Prize and helped the division pick out the Best Conference Paper winners. Our appreciation to Colin, Ilgaz, John, Johanna, Cedric, Chengwei, Katie, Cameron, Lena, Luke, Dimitri, and Natalia for your service. This is a great help to the division, and we're really thankful for all your efforts. This slide portrays our first-year research committee members. These are the scholars who read through the anonymized dissertation summaries, as well as the dissertations for each of the finalists, to help us pick the best dissertation finalist and then the best dissertation award winner. Our thanks to Luis, Julia, David, Ilya, Charles, Kwan, Ashton, Shankui, Min, Zhong, Eunice, Victoria, and Cheryl for helping us with this important task of selecting some of the best new work in our field. I hope many of you will be able to attend the presentation we have immediately prior to the business meeting, where our dissertation award finalists will present summaries of their work. This year's teaching committee is depicted on this slide. The executive committee member helping Louise with these tasks was Elisa Alvarez Garrido. The group generated some fantastic online content that I enjoyed and is organizing several teaching workshops and consortia at the annual conference. So thanks to Marlo, Melissa, Jenny, Mashek, Felipe, Craig, Andrea, and Cheng. This is really an increasingly important part of our work, and I'm thankful for all your contributions. This year's awards committee includes many of the most accomplished individuals in our field. I want to thank Manuela Hohenweiss as the EC member who worked with Louise and coordinated with these folks, and acknowledge that the time that Jay, Mary, Dan, Kathy, Marguerite, Giovanni, Brian, Laurence, and Ed invested in our career awards process. Thank you all. I worked with the global representatives this year and will mention some of their accomplishments in a few moments. At this time, let me just simply acknowledge the work of Edgar, Junman, Sandra, Teresa, Wei-Ting, Martina, and Vanessa. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and work with you to expand our reach globally. As division chair, I also work closely with our membership engagement committee. As we'll talk about in a few minutes, our new director for the MEC, Andy Wu, has been central to helping formalize the activities and responsibilities of this group. And for now, I'd like to thank Joa, Katerine, Lisa, Aldona, Dimo, Tag, Tomasz, Keith, and Carlos for their help and energy, keeping us all entertained and engaged in some important virtual activities and some fun engagement activities during the main conference. Finally, let me thank Paolo Aversa and the entire STR communications team for all of their work. If you're interacting with the STR through our website, our STR calendar, downloading our podcasts, or watching our videos, whether in a live or recorded format, you owe thanks to Laura, Scott, Yishin, Beverly, Christopher, Miros, Maria, Ilaria, Marco, Jingning, and Luigi. Thank you for all your efforts. You guys have been a tremendous team and an increasingly important part of what we offer. So in closing, please allow me to offer a huge thanks to this entire group. So now I'm going to hand off the presentation to Heather Berry, our past division chair. Heather ran the election process this year with the help of Dave Moslok and Tony Tong. Heather, take it away.
Thank you, Michael. So my name is Heather Berry, and I am in my 5th and final year as an STR officer. So before I talk about the election results, I just want to take a brief pause here and thank my fellow officers. So Michael, Louise, Deepak, Brian, the appointed officers, Paulo, Paul, Dave, and Andy. It's really been a pleasure working with you. We're a volunteer organization and we put in a lot of work. It's fantastic to work with people who are committed, and I've really enjoyed the past 5 years. So thank you very much. All right, on to the election results. So as past division chair, my main responsibility, or one of my main responsibilities, was overseeing the elections and appointment process for future leadership of the STR division. So in this role, I want to thank Dave and Tony in particular. They were assigned to help me, and I really appreciated their help because it's actually far more involved than it seems like because we get a lot of nominations. So along those lines, we're a member-driven elections process. In the month of February, AOM opens a nominations website for each division. And for our division, all STR members nominated the individuals who ultimately are going to fill these positions. So completely member-driven in terms of the STR leadership. We spend a lot of time then collecting information to try to share with our leadership when we decide who's going to be on the ballot and when we appoint members to those committees that have appointed members. And so this is where Dave and Tony really were very helpful in terms of this process. All right, so let me divide this up into then talking about the elected results. So in the month of May, we had elections based on those nominations and the leadership meeting for the assistant program chair and for the executive committee. So for assistant program chair, this isn't a surprise because I've already announced this on the STR Daily Digest, but I would like to congratulate once again Ishin Gulair, who won the election for incoming assistant program chair. So Ishin will now be an elected officer and she will serve a 5-year term starting as assistant program chair next year. So at the end of the August conference is when she'll start her 5-year term. So welcome, Ishin. You have to have already served as an EC member to be on the ballot for assistant program chair. And so, we know Ishin pretty well from her prior service, and I'm really excited to see what Ishin will do during her 5-year term. But welcome, Ishin. Congratulations again. Next up, the executive committee members are also voted on by our membership in a May ballot. So there were 12 people who were on the ballot, and these are the 6 people who won that election. Also, no surprise, I've already announced these, but congratulations once again to Olga, Kuhn, Florence, Fabrice, Juan, and David. So each of these individuals will serve a 2-year term. They will be involved with making policies for the division. They will be extremely helpful, helping all officers with their duties. They will also be involved with the elections process each of the 2 years that they're on the EC committee. All right, next up, we're moving to the appointed committees. So again, all of these people came from nominations from our membership, but I'd like to congratulate once again and welcome to the awards committee, Oliver, Kathy, Xavier, and Axe. So these people have agreed to serve a 2-year term, and they will be instrumental in all of the STR-sponsored awards that we give out. For the teaching committee, I'm also excited to welcome Nathan, Constantina, Michael, and Paul. So the teaching committee is also a 2-year commitment, and the teaching committee has gotten much more active over the past couple of years. And so I'm very excited to see what kind of new content will be created by these new members on the teaching committee. Next up, the research committee. So here we appoint 12 individuals to serve a 2-year term. And these folks are instrumental in deciding the best dissertation award and also the best paper awards that we give out for the division each year. So I'd like to welcome Mario, Christiane, Andrew, Yasmina, Teresa, Ryan, Yang, Ariana, Leandro, Marco, Ulia, and Sandy to the research committee. Finally, we've got 2 committees that have 3-year terms. So newly appointed members include Bucky, Sinha, and Cameron to the Membership Engagement Committee. Super excited to see what they're going to do, both at the committee and for virtual events throughout the year to help with professional development and member engagement. And finally, for our global representatives this year, we welcome Vivian as representing Asia as a global rep, the Asian region, and Patoch for representing and leading the Oceania global reps. All right, so I'm super excited for the future STR leadership with all of these individuals. I look forward to seeing you at many conferences and seeing what it is that you accomplish in these positions. So welcome. All right, back to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Heather. I have the privilege of thanking Heather for her 5 years of service to the division, and also congratulating on her move to this fall to begin working with our good friends at Georgetown University. So thank you, Heather. As outgoing past division chair, Heather has had a role in all aspects of our division's leadership, from running the PDW program to developing the main conference program, overseeing our awards and teaching committees, leading our division through a series of virtual activities, and now running a successful election process. While I hope you're all aware of the work required for these roles, and it really has increased fairly drastically in the last couple of years, let me add a personal note. While Heather and I have traveled in overlapping circles for some years, maybe decades, we haven't had the opportunity for much interaction until this last 5 years, and I'm really glad to have had this opportunity. I've benefited from her wisdom, I enjoyed our frequent Zoom conversations, and hope her efforts have helped all of you listening to this video broadcast. If you do see Heather, please congratulate her and thank her for her service. So I will now formally add your name to the illustrious group of past STR division chairs and ask again everyone to seek you out and thank you for your service. In addition to congratulating Heather on completing her 5-year term, I also have the privilege of sharing some of the accomplishments of this year's STR Leadership Team. As we have done each year since the pandemic, our team has developed a robust virtual platform that has helped us to disseminate strategic management content to a broad cross-section of our membership throughout the year. This year, our team focused efforts on 3 focal initiatives. Our first initiative aimed to highlight the core, or what I'll say is distinctive contributions in our field. A key part of this effort were several executive committee members who formed our, what I'll call our non-conference task force: Philip, Maka, Tomasz, and Richard. This team met last September. We discussed several ways to modify some of the existing virtual efforts and develop some new content that we hope would be useful to the field as a whole. We outlined ways to reach our membership through an intellectually diverse group of speakers that I think spoke to a broad variety of topics and approaches to strategic management research. The feedback I've received informally from participants has been overwhelmingly positive. The over 5,000 views of the sessions on our YouTube channel and live channels, the additional content that is being posted to YouTube suggests we largely met our mark. This group really did 3 efforts. The first prong was virtual sessions or virtual symposia. These were similar to the symposia offered in the past. The topics this year included sessions on open strategy, resources and capabilities, human capital, knowledge and innovation, corporate strategy, and then we snuck a teaching in the digital age effort in here with thanks to our members of our teaching committee. While arguably the most similar prong to what we've done in the past, these sessions continue to be quite popular. And in each session, our team brought together a series of experts to share and discuss current research on the relevant topic and the implications of that ongoing research for the future of our field. Concurrent with these symposia, we also continue to run a set of PhD networking workshops. These sessions have proven to be popular with our PhD students, as they provide an opportunity for those students to meet with several senior faculty and other job market participants. Again, the focus this year was really on the breadth of research styles and topics of interest. So we were trying to target groups of faculty that might meet the needs of students trained in different traditions. So while I don't think we have time to recognize all the faculty mentors that volunteered their time and effort, I want to thank everyone for their contribution, and for Richard, Philip, and Tomasz for organizing these very important sessions. As a near final element of this first initiative, we developed a series of what I potentially, unfortunately, labeled as distinctiveness conversations. Given the potential ambiguity of this label, it may be useful to spend a moment on the purpose of these sessions, and maybe encourage you to engage with some of them. The goal of these sessions was to help clarify the strategic management research agenda by comparing the assumptions, constructs, mechanisms, or processes, and even evidence across disciplines of theory and fields of study using the strategy adjective. So this it wasn't necessarily about community building, but comparing how different traditions and research approaches looked at the field, and maybe seeing what we could find in the seams between those different disciplines and fields. So the sessions were ultimately designed to bring together scholars from various orientations, and maybe become a little bit more precise in our use of the strategy adjective. We aim to draw attention to the breadth of questions and approaches to management research. We also hope to identify new research opportunities that, like I said, lied in these seams, as strategy scholars or scholars using different lenses in affiliated fields got to discuss what their underlying assumptions, mechanisms, and insights were. We'll link this a little bit in our plenary session, while you'll see another set of senior faculty discuss whether we need a new statement of fundamental issues in 2023. So we ran 8 separate conversations. Most of these are currently on our YouTube channel. The sessions are demonstrated here. They, I think, demonstrate a broad range of opinions that exist on what constitutes strategic management, as well as allied fields highlighted on this slide. So, the hope here was that we would uncover, and I think we did, uncover several opportunities of gains from trade across the fields, identifying ways to formulate or reformulate problem statements, relax some of the hidden assumptions between different groups of scholars, maybe change the level of analysis, or even borrow and generate new insight via different statistical methods. So if you haven't had the opportunity, I invite you to revisit these sessions, come to our plenary session, and to explore some of these fundamental questions. And again, thanks to Philip for bringing together our strategy and HR group, Tomasz for bringing the strategy and TIM group together, Tomasz again for strategy and OB, Maka, who was incredibly helpful throughout this process to bring together folks from Strategy International and Strategy and Entrepreneurship work, Richard for bringing us some strategy scholars together with colleagues in org theory, as well as the strategy as practice group, and then Maka and my colleague Srikanth working on strategy and org design. Some really great sessions. Our second focal initiative aimed to increase, or I should say continue increasing, our engagement with members across the globe. Our first key prong here was working with our global representatives. Again, Edgar, June, Sandra, Teresa, Wei Ting, and Martina. They helped us continue several regional workshops. We ran, in particular, virtual workshops focused on strategic management research in South America and Latin America. This group has also helped with our popular fostering publications around the world, PDW. And it's been really a pleasure. In particular, I worked a great deal with Edgar and Sandro. It was great working with learning about their communities and getting just a better feel for the vibrancy of scholarship in these regions. Of greater novelty, the division applied for and was awarded a research grant this year to help us co-sponsor an in-person conference. This year, that conference was in Oceania. The conference was organized by Ralph Wilden, Nathita Lin, Francesco Chirico, Kritika Ranwa, Mariano or Pitosh Hayden, and Stephen Shang. So we attracted over 60 scholars. They were from actually all over the globe. but mostly from the Oceania region. And hopefully this is something we can continue in the future. A second prong in our engagement activities was led by our Membership Engagement Committee members. This group is tasked with social networking and professional development activities, and really brings tremendous energy to all their endeavors. This slide depicts the virtual and scheduled in-person events led by this group. Each of the virtual events has been important. The conference reviewing session is something we've been doing several years with Kathy Maritin, and I think is really helpful for the program chair as Kathy works through with a bunch of junior folks about the process of reviewing for conferences, how that might differ for the reviewing process for journals, and really helps us motivate and develop improved reviews from that group. The Strategy Jam reminded me of early years with the Strategy Research Initiative. Was just a group of scholars talking very candidly about their concerns in the field and how to improve their own work. The remote work session offered tips for managing oneself and one's career in a remote setting. I mean, all these virtual sessions were a real joy and really, almost emotional at times to go through. So it was really helpful. Thanks to Andy Wu, everyone on the MEC team for all of your contributions. And I look forward to a series of similarly successful in-person conference engagement activities. So all of these virtual engagement efforts in particular, rely heavily on our communications team. And I shared this slide earlier. I just, let me talk more about this team and give you a sense of what they've accomplished. This team maintains a bunch of our settings on our website, our public calendar, as well as all these channels to disseminate our content to thousands of scholars around the globe. So as you skim this slide, please note the degree of engagement in terms of measures such as downloads, unique visitors, hours watched that are supported by this group. This is really an amazing team that is, I think it's fair to say, leading a communications revolution at the Academy. So thanks to Paolo and each of the team members, Beverly, Chris, Luigi, Marco, Maria, Jingning, Laura, Scott, Ilaria, Yijin, and Miros. It really was a pleasure to work with you all. And let me make one plug for this team. Paolo is looking for an advanced Instagram user and a video editor, neither which of those people are me, by the way. But if you have those skills, please reach out to Paolo and join this really fun group. So let me talk a bit about our third focal initiative. This is mostly administrative improvements aimed at improving some of our processes and procedures. So as I think most people are aware, our non-conference activities have expanded dramatically in recent years. Last year, the officers under Heather's leadership updated our bylaws to recognize some of the new roles, our communications and membership engagement committee members and directors. However, these officers are indicating that we could help them further by codifying expectations and tasks. So this year we created a set of responsibility guidelines for all of our appointed officers. These were a general set of guidelines included a general set of guidelines about how we're going to coordinate across all the elected and appointed officers and the EC, as well as more specific guidelines regarding the tasks and responsibilities of each of the appointed officers. Our hope is that these documents will be of enormous assistance, not just in coordinating across a larger group of individuals, but as we pass on hard-won expertise from one generation to another. The second sort of administrative improvement is tied to our virtual sessions. The increasing frequency with which we conduct virtual sessions brings some anticipated downside risks. So to help avoid Zoom bombing or other adverse effects, we upgraded our Zoom account, created a process document to share best practices, and have worked with folks at Zoom to minimize the likelihood that we'll experience these sorts of disruptions. Finally, we continue to use and populate the STR Dropbox. Heather had started a Google Drive, and then we moved to Dropbox, and we've continued to refine the documents outlining best practices for each of the STR officers and committees in that Dropbox. And I think that tool has proven to be very helpful. I'll start my remarks, some final remarks on the financial state of the division by reminding everyone of the high-level process to which our activities are funded. The STR division, as well as all other AOM divisions, receives funds from two primary channels. The first is AOM fees. As a member of the Academy, you pay a membership fee. And when you designate STR as one of your primary interest divisions or interest areas, the AOM sets aside a fraction of those fees for use by the divisions. The second channel includes donations and gifts. These gifts include, let's say, royalties we received from the Chandel and Hofer book years ago, donations to name awards. We have the Glick, Irwin, Lichert, and Goshala awards, and so forth. The funds received by the division are used to cover our expenses. The bulk of our expenses continue to be for catering and AV equipment during the in-person conference. We now have some additional expenses for our Zoom and Dropbox accounts. In recent years, when we have had an in-person conference, our expenses have ranged from roughly $55,000 to $70,000 per year. As of July of 2023, our treasurer reports that we have a total available set of funds of roughly $411,000. Approximately 125 of these available funds are linked to prior donations, and we're exploring what kinds of legal requirements are tied to those funds. But this, regardless, this implies a reserve fund of approximately $285,000. The reserve has increased greatly during the pandemic, largely due to the elimination or reduction of catering costs. So for the virtual conferences, we had no catering and AV or limited AV costs. This year, we continue to have some of our consortia conducted virtually, and that's helped us save some money. While some reserve is needed, given the variation in expenses expected from one year to the next, some cities are more expensive than others. There's also some uncertainty about the AOM funding model. We didn't receive a portion of the 2023 membership fees, but are told we should be receiving those funds next year. So I think it's fair to say in sum, we're in a very healthy financial position. Some might say too healthy. I like the idea of keeping some sort of max reserve or cap on our reserve. So this year, the EC started discussing a proposal to limit the reserve to 2 times of our estimated annual spending. And we expect to continue that discussion and vote on that early next year. So the second financial issue is just some maybe budget refinements that might be helpful to make everyone aware of. I'm reminded of this quote that some of you may know, how do you know where you're going if you don't know where you've been? I think we need to have a budget and a history of our budget as well as our actual expenditures. Historically, we've waited on the Academy for funding data and then developed our budget in the late fall or early spring. In the last couple of years, we've tried to push that increasingly to early fall. Moreover, we've developed the budget using historical line items that capture direct expenses. And what I mean by that is we might have a line item for catering for a dissertation consortia or catering for the social that follows the in-person business meeting or funding for the Zoom account. So we've not only tried to budget earlier as a means to provide greater guidance to our team members, but we've also been thinking about more informative ways of designing our budget based on, or thinking about our budget based on desired outcomes. What I mean by that is thinking about the proportion of our budget that we want to dedicate to activities that are aimed at improving research versus those that are aimed at improving teaching, or those that are simply networking events for our members. We're also thinking about the proportion of our budget that's allocated to different types of members. So historically, we've directed a lot of our funds towards PhD education, and we continue to think that's certainly appropriate. But now we're breaking out how much of our allocation is going to PhD students, junior scholars, mid-career scholars, and senior scholars. So you see some initial efforts at these allocations. This is based on the in-person data from 2018, 2019, and 2022, as well as our budget for the 2023 meeting. And that's reported on this slide. So, within our executive committee, we're now having a little bit of a discussion of how these breakdowns might affect the way we wish to allocate funds in the future. So I hope this extended discussion of our activities was informative. At this point, I'll introduce our program chair, Deepak Samaya, who will provide highlights about the 2023 program. Here you go, Deepak.
Thank you, Michael. I am pleased to bring to you the program chair report for this year. The program team consisted of myself and 3 executive committee members who played a very important role in helping to put the program together. So Joanna Campbell, Donald Crilly, and Zeke Hernandez were the 3 people from the executive committee who functioned effectively as track chairs for 2 of the tracks out of the 8 that we have in the division. I took on 2 of those tracks. So I want to thank all 3 of them for really providing very valuable assistance in putting this program together. They not only oversaw the reviewing process, but also put together the panels that you see in the annual program. In addition, Minjung Kim and Yusaku Takeda, 2 colleagues of mine from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, also helped with putting together some of the tracks. So thank you, Minjung and Yusaku as well. We also had a set of trusted reviewers who helped us essentially pinch hit with reviews, providing very good reviews at the last minute to help fill the gaps in the reviewing process and really make it possible to finish the reviewing process on time. So thank you, Aaron, Asim, Britta, Craig, Daniel, Francisco, Giada, Hart, Heather, Jeho, Luke, Louise, Marcus, Martin, Nan, Ram, Sairam, Samina, Sarath, Tim, and Tomas. Thank you all. This year, we again had a very large number of submissions. We're almost back to pre-pandemic levels. In fact, we have actually more submissions in terms of symposia, although the papers are also getting up to almost the same levels that we had before the pandemic. So 949 submissions in all, of which 835 are papers, 114 symposia. And the paper acceptance rate this year, because we went back to an in-person conference, was capped at 50%. So we're back to our norm from the academy as we used to have before the pandemic. So last year, the acceptance rate was 65%. This year, it's down to 50%. So unfortunately, more people had their papers rejected this year than they have in the last couple of years. The same is also true of symposia. The cap for symposia was also lowered to 70% as compared to 75% last year. So we have a very diverse set of submitters to the conference, and particularly the international diversity keeps going up year after year. So about 72% of our submissions consisted of a primary author that was outside the United States, representing 44 countries, and both of these are increases from last year as well. We are also really blessed to have a fantastic group of reviewers, members of our division. Thank you all for really stepping up to do reviews for us. We had almost 1,300 reviewers this year, a small increase from last year. The number of reviewers from outside the US, again, going up in line with the papers from outside the United States. From 66 different countries this year, we had reviewers. And what was really amazing and very gratifying to me as program chair was that we actually had almost 92% of our reviews completed. Thank you all for doing this. Without that, our program would have been almost impossible to put together. This really highlights the vibrancy of our division and its engagement with its members in both directions, the division with the members and the members of the division. Thank you. I will now transition to the Assistant Program Chair, Brian Booth.
Thank you, Luis. I'm Brian Wu. I'm the Assistant Program Chair for the Strategic Management Division. My report focused on the professional development workshops that we have put together this year. We had 42 submissions this year, which is a little more than pre-pandemic years. We accepted 33 of these submissions and also co-sponsored 94 PDWs with the other divisions. We have a really exciting PDW program consisting of a mix of different types of sessions, theoretical sessions, phenomena-based sessions, research method sessions, and teaching-oriented sessions. I encourage you to check out these fantastic workshops on many different topics of interest to our members. In addition to the PDWs, the division also sponsors several consortia. The dissertation consortium co-chairs are Victor and Hanji. The doctoral consortium co-chairs are Claudine and Jill. The junior faculty consortium co-chairs are Sergio and Anu. The mid-career consortium co-chairs are Ha and He. The teaching consortium co-chairs are Melissa and Philippi. These co-chairs have worked hard to put together an excellent program with the participation of faculty and doctoral students from around the globe. If you have the opportunity, please thank our co-organizers and the panelists for their extraordinary service. In addition to this consortium co-sponsored by the division, we also support a number of other PDWs that are featured on an annual basis now. And again, this would not be possible without the work of many volunteers who act as organizers for these workshops. We have a junior faculty paper development workshop, and thanks to Alain, Danielle, Ellie, and Pavel for putting that together. We also have a teaching strategy workshop that Marlo and Craig have put together. Many thanks. Last but not least, the Managing Your Dissertation workshop was put together by the winner of the Best Dissertation Award from last year, Ampul, along with the other 4 finalists, Aldana, Agnes, Christopher, and Danielle. So thanks to you all for doing this. This is really a valuable contribution for all our members. I also want to highlight another workshop that was put together by our global reps. And this workshop is called the Fostering Publications from Around the World in Leading Strategy Journals. And this year is organized by Edgar, Juman, Sandra, Teresa, Waiting, and Martina. Thank you all for putting this workshop together. It really helps to foster global participation in strategy research, making sure that it makes its way to our top journals. And last but not least, there is one person from the executive committee who was really incremental in organizing the PDW program, research awards, and conference logistics, and that's Alain. And I really want to thank Alain for her incredible help. And now I'm going to hand it over to Luis.
Thank you, Brian. My name is Louisa Morse. I am this year's STR Division Chair-elect. The Division Chair-elect works most closely with the teaching and the awards committees, and I'd like to thank the members of these committees for their work prior to sharing with you some information regarding our non-conference awards. On this slide, you see the teaching committee. I'd like to thank the entire teaching committee for their work, Melissa and Felipe for their work in organizing this year's Junior Faculty Teaching Consortium that's taking place at their conference in Boston, Jennifer and Cheng for organizing our online teaching events, including a very interesting event on incorporating book writing into teaching, and an event on novel teaching methods. Thank you, Maciek and Andrea, for working on the STR teaching website and updating our content on the site with novel pedagogical innovations, including simulations and working with virtual reality, as well as updating some of the syllabi that we have available to our members. And finally, thank you to Craig and Marlo for their work on the walk-in teaching clinics that take place here in Boston. Here in Boston at the conference. And finally, I want to extend a big thanks to Elisa Alvarez-Garrido for her work in coordinating and supporting our teaching committee. Thank you so much, Elisa, for all your hard work for the teaching committee and for the division this year. The next committee you see here on the slide is the awards committee. The awards committee oversees several career awards not tied to the conference, and we are extremely grateful for the many hours they've spent nominating, reviewing, and selecting the candidates for the different awards this year. This year, Manuela Horn-Weiss worked with the awards committee to help coordinate their meetings, help them with all the information they needed, and supported them in making the final decisions for the awards. We are extremely grateful for your time. Thank you, all of you, for working with the awards this year. Now I'd like to move on to the awards. First, I want to recognize the outstanding reviewers. Every year, the STR division recognizes members that stood out as excellent reviewers along several criteria. This slide presents a list of this year's outstanding reviewers. We couldn't process the many proposal submissions we receive every year without a set of dedicated reviewers. Reviewers such as those listed here help us select proposals for inclusion in the program and provide useful feedback to our members. While many excellent reviewers are not listed here, we appreciate the service offered by all of our reviewers. And without their contributions, we wouldn't have a compelling program. So I'd like to extend a special thanks to all of these outstanding reviewers. I then want to move on to the Career Awards. This year, the first Career Award is the 2023 Irvin Outstanding Educator Award. The Irvin Outstanding Educator Award recognizes a scholar who's demonstrated a long-term commitment to an expertise in educating strategy of students. The award alternates each year between a focus on a doctoral education and MBA and executive MBA education. This year, we're evaluating nominees with respect to their contributions to PhD education and mentoring in strategic management. In terms of process, this year we accepted nominations from division members until January 15. And in addition, we considered nominations also from prior years. The STR Awards Committee then reviewed nominations, collected additional data on the finalists, and then selected an overall winner. Thank you again to the Awards Committee for their work on selecting a winner. I'm very happy to announce this year's Irvin Outstanding Educator Award, which goes to Professor Ax Zahir from the University of Minnesota. Ax Zahir is a professor and Curtis L. Carlson Chair in Strategic Management at the Carlson School of Management at the University of Minnesota. He earned his PhD from the Sloan School of Management at MIT. Ax has conducted research on a number of issues around strategic management and has published countless articles in the top strategy journals. Ax has received numerous awards for both his research and teaching. He's an elected fellow of the Strategic Management Society and has served as Dean of the Fellows. Ax was also named as one of the world's 50 best business school professors by Poets and Quants in 2012. Over the last 3 decades, Ax has advised and been as the primary advisor of 15 doctoral students who've been placed at top schools, including Wharton, Carnegie Mellon, Darden, and INSEAD. He served as a committee member on a further 27 dissertation committees. Ax's students were very enthusiastic in nominating him for this award. And in support of the award, one of Ax's students wrote that Ax works with PhD students by focusing on the whole individual. Another student commented that it's hard for me to overstate how much of an impact Ax has had on my career. The STR division would like to congratulate Ax Zahir on being selected as the 2023 Outstanding Educator Award. I hope that many of you will join us at the Sunday morning event in Boston, where we will celebrate Ax and hear from his former students and some of his colleagues. Congratulations, Ax. The next award is the Goose Distinguished Service Award, which is also awarded in odd years. The STR William D. Goose Distinguished Service Award honors a scholar who's made an outstanding career contribution to building and serving the field of strategic management. The award is named after Bill Goose, who led our division from its founding through its early years. And Bill went on to exemplify generosity in advancing our field and in supporting rising scholars. In terms of process, this year we accepted nominations from division members until January 15th. And in addition, we also considered nominations from prior years. The STR Awards Committee then reviewed nominations, additional data on the finalists, and then they selected an overall winner. And again, I'd like to thank the committee for your time in reviewing all the nominations. This year's STR Distinguished Service Award goes to Anita McGann from the University of Toronto. Anita McGann is the university professor and George E. Connell Chair in Organizations and Society at the University of Toronto. Her primary appointment is at the Rotman School of Management. Professor McGann is also a faculty member and senior fellow at the Burns Center for Social Change at Northeastern University. She is senior associate at the Institute for Strategy and Competitiveness at Harvard University and a past president of the Academy of Management. Anita earned her PhD at Harvard University. She holds an MBA from the Harvard Business School. And she's also spent several years at both McKinsey and Morgan Stanley and was previously on the faculties of both Harvard Business Schools and Boston University. Anita has been dedicated to all aspects of the field of strategic management, and the awards committee picked Anita to receive the Goose Distinguished Service Award this year to recognize her for her outstanding service to the field. Her contributions to STR and the field in general are significant. Already back in 1999, Anita started by serving on the BPS Research Committee. Anita later served on the BPS Executive Committee, and from 2004, she served on the elected officer track and was division chair of BPS from 2006 to 2007. BPS is, of course, the former name of STR. Anita served as associate editor for the Business Strategy Division of Management Science and the Strategic Management Journal, and has been or currently serves on the editorial board on most of the top journals in strategy, including SMJ, Strategic Organization, Strategy Science, AMJ, AMP, AMD, and AMR. The many contributions by Anita to the field of strategic management, Academy of Management, and the Strategic Management Society have already been recognized with numerous awards. And in 2012, she was elected a fellow of the Strategic Management Society, and in 2015, a fellow of the Academy of Management. The awards committee emphasized both the breadth and depth of Anita's outstanding service to, as well as her dedication to the field of strategic management. Anita has held leadership positions in the SMS, as well as exceptional leadership positions in the Academy, She's an outstanding scholar and a teacher, and she embodies pro-social behavior. She cares deeply about the field, about building communities, for example, the CCC Advisory Board, and about mentoring students. In addition, she served in many academic and corporate service positions. Overall, the committee felt that Anita is truly an outlier among her peers. Let me just read a couple of comments that the committee provided in their selection of Anita for this award. Anita is an ideal recipient of the Goose Award with multiple avenues of service. I can't think of a more deserving recipient. We would all be very much worse off without Anita's dedicated service to our field over many years. Please join us in congratulating Anita for all she's done to make the field of strategic management as vibrant as it is today. Congratulations, Anita. The next award I'd like to present to you is the Emerging Scholar Award. The Emerging Scholar Award is also presented every 2 years in odd years. It recognizes a promising scholar who's established a research record of exceptional quality early in their career. This year, we looked at candidates that had defended their dissertation after January 2017. The person has a notable publication record and has already demonstrated an impact on the field of strategic management. Candidates are judged by the relevance, academic rigor, contribution, theoretical and methodological rigor, and practical implications of their work. The Emerging Scholar Award Committee is comprised of 3 former division chairs. This year, Rashmi Agarwal, Nick Argyris, and Joe Mahoney contributed their time and efforts in selecting the Emerging Scholar. We're very grateful for all the time you invested in overseeing this award. In terms of process, we received nominations until the 15th of January. The committee then considered a long list of 22 candidates and then narrowed the list to 5 and then finally 2 finalists. On the shorter lists, the committee carefully considered the publications, the relevance of the work to STR, the contribution and impact of the work, the novelty and theoretical and empirical rigor, the practical implications. The committee also considered whether the candidates had solo authored work and the scholarly identity of the candidate. I would like to express my grateful thank you to the committee for their work and the many hours they spent in considering the different nominated individuals. And again, also thank you to Manuela for overseeing this committee. This year's Emerging Scholar Award goes to Phoebo Wibbens from INSEAD. Congratulations, Phoebo. Here are just a few comments from this year's committee about the Emerging Scholar. Phoebo Wibbens is a highly original thinker who's making important contributions on fundamental topics in strategic management. His sole-authored work includes papers that are first to conceptualize the resource-based view of the firm in terms of macro change and to model resource dynamics using this approach. Phoebo's research promises to have a significant impact on strategic management research and to make him a future leader in the field. The committee also commented that Phoebo Wibbens merits the Emerging Scholar Award in strategic management field for his demonstrated ability to contribute new theory, to thoughtfully craft new measurements central to strategy, and to guide others in the field toward the choice of better methodological approaches. His theoretical contributions give attention to strategic interdependencies across a number of strategic factors that themselves find roots in the strategy field. The evidence supports that Phoebo Wibbens has a promising future as a leader and steward of our strategic management field. Congratulations, Phoebo. We will follow your work with interest. And if you haven't already read some of Phoebo's papers, I encourage you to look him up and look at his research. And I am sure we will see many more interesting papers in the future. I will now hand over to Assistant Program Chair Brian Wu to present the Conference Paper Awards.
Thank you, Louise. It's my honor to share with you the Conference Paper Awards. Before I turn my attention to the awards themselves, I want to thank EC member Alain and the research committee members, Kellen, Erican, John, Johanna, Cedric, Chenwei, Catherine, Cameron, Elena, Luke, Dimitri, and Natalia. Without their incredible work, it would not have been possible to make these decisions. Thank you very much. I now turn first to the various track awards. So these are the best paper awards awarded to papers that are within each of the 8 tracks within the Strategic Management Division program. And I'll start with the Behavioral Strategy track, where the best paper award goes to George for his paper, Workplace Happiness and Employee Recruitment. The next track is a Corporate and International Strategy track, and the best paper award goes to Ralph, Hejun, and Kunjin for their paper, Build, Borrow, Buy, or Bail. The best paper award for the Industry Competition and the Strategic Entrepreneurship track goes to Fei, He, and Matthew for their paper, Response Strategy for Corporate Litigation, a reputational view of competitive dynamics. And the best paper award for the Knowledge, Learning, and Innovation Strategy track goes to Yongwan for his paper, The Hidden Cost of Redeployment, the Impact of Geographic Redeployment on Inventor Performance. And then turning to Non-Market Strategy track, the best paper award here goes to Danielle and Philip for their work paper, Searching and Multiple Goals, Exploring the Rule of Corporate Social Responsibility Heuristics. And in the Organization Structure, Networks, and Relational Strategies track, the best paper award goes to Curtis, Marvin, and Hugh for their paper, The Hidden Influences of Blockchain Governance, a study of organizational imprinting. In the Resources, Capabilities, and the Strategic Factor Market track, the best paper award goes to Mengyue and Hall for their paper, Timeliness and Accuracy in Retrieving Firm Competencies and Indexing Capability Perspective. Last but not least, in the Strategic Leadership, TMT, and the Corporate Governance track, the best paper award goes to Ankita, Partiban, Augustine, and Maria for their paper, Hedge Fund Activist Gender Diversity, Managerial Resistance, Wolfpack, Shareholder Support, and Performance. Our hearty congratulations to all the winners of the track paper awards. We now turn our attention to the division-wide awards, and the first award there that I'm going to focus on is the Bill Gluick Best Paper Award. The Bill Gluick Best Paper Award is provided for the submission judged to be the best paper submitted to the refereed scholarly prover, and is supported by friends and former students of Bill Gluick, the 35th president of the Academy of Management. And this year, the Gluick Best Paper Award goes to Francisca, Andrea, Audrey for their paper, Entrepreneurship Training and the Founders' Perceptions of Ability, or RCT with entrepreneurs in Tanzania. Congratulations. I now turn my attention to Samantha Gorshall Research and Practice Award, which is awarded for the submission to the refereed scholarly program that is judged to be the best paper that advances research while deriving important implications for practice. The award honors the contributions to both research and practice made by Samantha Gorshall. The award this year goes to Linda and Max for their paper, exploring the dimensionality of opportunism in inter-organizational relationships with meta-analysis. Congratulations. Now I'll turn my attention to the Robert Lichard Award for the best paper by a doctoral student. This award was instituted in memory of Professor Lichard by his students and colleagues at Virginia Tech. Professor Lichard was one of the early Academy members and was active in teaching and research in strategy and organization theory. He was very much loved by his legion of students, many of whom have made significant contributions to the field. It is particularly appropriate that the award is given to a promising doctoral students, since Professor Lichard considered the mentoring of students his most important responsibility. The Lichard Award this year goes to Yongwan Yun for his paper, The Hidden Cost of Redeployment, the Impact of Geographic Redeployment on Inventor Performance. And this concludes the awards from the various submissions to the Strategic Management Division. I will now hand it over to Luis for the dissertation awards.
Thank you. Every year, we recognize a small subset of recent graduates who've written exceptional dissertations. And that is certainly appropriate because the work produced by these scholars represents some of the most promising future research in the STR division and our field. In terms of process, we had 35 dissertation summaries submitted to the division by January 27th for consideration in the Wiley-Blackwell Outstanding Dissertation Award. As many of you know, these are detailed 10-page summaries identifying the research question, findings, and contribution of the dissertation to the field of strategic management. We remove all author-identifying information, including author names, institutional affiliation, and dissertation title, before sending each of these summaries to the research committee members. This year, we sent each summary to 4 of these research committee members. They were selected to avoid conflicts of interest with the dissertation authors. The 12 research committee members on this slide ranked each of these dissertation summaries based on their impressions of the dissertation's contribution to the overall field of strategic management. And based on these rankings, we identified 5 finalists, and we asked these 5 finalists to submit their full dissertations after we removed author-identifying information, and then each full dissertation was evaluated by 7 research committee members. I hope you can hear that this is a time-consuming process, and I would therefore like to express my gratitude to the research committee members for their help in judging and selecting this year's dissertation awards. This year, we selected 5 finalists for the 2023 Wiley-Blackwell Dissertation Award. And I will now present to you the 5 Dissertation Award finalists. First, Nianshan Han is an assistant professor at Nanyang Technological University. He received his PhD at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and his dissertation chair was Tony Tong. The title of the dissertation is How Value Appropriation Concerns Affect Knowledge Development Decisions, Evidence from 3 Innovation Contexts. The second dissertation finalist is Yu Yeong, visiting assistant professor at Tulane University. She received her PhD at University of Minnesota, and the dissertation co-chairs were Asim Kaul and Shuao Lu. The title of the dissertation, Understanding Digital Inequality and the Role of Cooperatives. Congratulations, Nianshan and Xu Yu. The next three dissertation finalists. First, Leandro Pongalupe is an assistant professor at Wharton. He received his PhD at the University of Toronto, and the dissertation chair was Anita McGann. The title of the dissertation, How Approaches to Value Creation, Appropriation, and Distribution by Private Sector Organizations Address the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. Next is Sylvia Sinasi. She's a postdoctoral researcher at the Free University of Bolzano. She received her PhD at Politecnico di Milano, and her dissertation chair was Antonio Gessi. The title of the dissertation, Business Model Experimentation, a Scientific Approach to Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And the fifth finalist is Yunku Xu, assistant professor at Stern, NYU. Yunku received his PhD at Duke University, and his dissertation co-chairs were Ashish Arora and Sharon Belenson. The title of the dissertations, Essays on Science and Innovation. Congratulations, Leandro, Sylvia, and Yunku. I would like to congratulate all of these finalists and their advisors, and hope that you and your institutions are very proud of this accomplishment. While all of these dissertations stood out from the broader pool of submissions, and each was excellent in its own right, the research committee judged one dissertation as advancing the field of strategic management more significantly than the others. Please allow me to share some slightly shortened comments that I received from our research committee members in their evaluations of this dissertation. The committee said, the top-ranked dissertation was really excellent, with important research questions at the interface between firm strategy and the United Nations sustainability goals. It collected fascinating original data focused on unique empirical settings such as pricing, e-commerce, and job training in Brazilian favelas, as well as data on Amazonian products, deforestation, and used a variety of strong methods that showed an impressive diversity of methodological skills. The papers all have strong potential for publication at top strategy journals. The committee also said that this dissertation is a valuable contribution to the strategic management literature, demonstrating the potential for constructive relationships between stakeholders and organizations, rather than commonly held belief of inherent competition. This dissertation tackles a novel, relevant, and challenging set of research questions relevant to firm strategy, and it pursues answers with methodological rigor and with deep care taken to understand the institutional setting of the research. And so by now, you may already realize which dissertation has won the award, but let me reveal to you this year's Wiley Blackwell Outstanding Dissertation Award recipient is Leandro Pongalupe from Wharton. He received his PhD at the University of Toronto, and the title is How Approaches to Value Creation, Appropriation, and Distribution by Private Sector Organizations Address the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. I would like to congratulate Leandro on behalf of the whole entire division. Congratulations on this great honor, Leandro.
Well, it's back to me. Thank you for taking time to view this program. It's been a pleasure to serve the field as the 2022-2023 STR Division Chair. I invite you and to share your thoughts on this presentation or the status of our field with me or any of the other STR officers. If you are able to attend the annual conference in Boston, I wish you safe travels and look forward to seeing you in August. Take care.